Welcome to PM Express Business Edition. It has helped turn around the economies of many countries around the world in terms of being a critical point when it comes to growing the economy. But can the same be said for Ghana when it comes to the role that this sector has played in helping the economy? I'm talking about the tourism sector. Has it been given the required support? Have we developed the infrastructure space and ensure that it plays its rightful role? On PM Express Business Edition, you're looking at Ghana's tourism sector. Could it be the game changer for the economy? I'm privileged to engage the Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Development Authority, looking at this space and what are they doing about it. Mr. Kwesi Agyemang, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Authority. Thank you so much for having time for us. It is quite a busy time, some would say, but you had time to talk to us. And before I even get deeper, there's talk about, is it beyond the return, right? If I'm wrong.
Yeah, beyond the return.
So, and how are things shaping? At first, you issued a release about there's a visa on arrival.
Yeah.
What went into that?
Thanks, George, for having me. I think it's all work in progress. It's part of the many, many things that we have to do, like you rightly said, to get tourism to the level that we all want. And so I would say those are all processes and parts of the structures that we are trying to put in place to make sure that we just don't get to the top, but we stay at the top. And so far, I would say so good. And so what you saw in the papers and on the portals about the visa on arrival is something that we've been working on with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Transport, and our mother ministry, the Ministry of Tourism, to really get in place a process, what we call the diaspora pathway, or the pathways to Ghana, to be eased, so that people who want to visit Ghana will not go through so much hustle, because we are inviting them. And so we need to make sure that their journey back home or to visit is also smoothened. And so the visa on arrival is one of them. Eventually we'll get to a point where we'll have an e-visa platform, but it's work in progress. And so we said, okay, given that we know this is our peak period, we need to make it easy for people to come and enjoy themselves in Ghana.
I'll come back to the e-visa for some clarity based on the briefs that you had as CEO of the authority. But also one would ask this, so what does it mean? So if today, George Wiafe traveling from US to Ghana during that period, I can just pick my passport to travel to Accra and then get a visa at the airport before I walk out. Explain to me and help me out a little bit.
Exactly, that's what it is. I mean, currently the system is that you have to get a visa at the embassy before you come. Or in emergency cases, you get what we call pre-approval. And so somebody wants to come to Ghana maybe in 3 days' time. They'll normally ask their sponsor or whoever is inviting them to get pre-approval. So the immigration will give you a pre-approval and then you send it to them before the airlines allow you to board. But with this system that is coming in place, you want to come to Ghana, you have a ticket to come to Afrofuture, you have a ticket to come to any of the events, or you have something to do in Ghana, you want to come and be part of the December in GH. You just pick your passport, you board an airline, you come here, and then you're granted a visa at the airport, or if you're coming through land at the borders, and then you're good to go.
And I have to pay to get the visa on arrival.
Yeah, it's a visa fee that you would have paid if you went for a visa anywhere, from US or from London or wherever it is. But we know that given that the numbers have increased, I mean, in the US, for example, we know that the consulate was doing about 100 visas a day. Now they are doing about 300. So it's put
300 visas a day from when? Was it from this year, November, September?
Oh no, over the period since we started this whole conversation around the return. So the numbers have increased. And so it puts pressure on them. And so with that, sometimes there are delays. People will call groups that are coming, say, oh, we have 6 weeks to come. And sometimes it takes about 2-3 weeks to get their visas. And so it's created some anxiety within our sector. And so we've been working at it. But like you know, we don't grant visas. So we've had to do some engagement with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Interior, because immigration is under the Ministry of Interior. And they also have concerns in terms of, you know, the activities within the sub-region, making sure that you don't have people with questionable characters coming in. And so they have to put in place the systems. And so that's what has caused some of the delays. But I believe that we are at a point where now with the visa on arrival coming in, we will get to the e-visa platform. For me, that is the end point.
Some will say and ask government that if government, in the spirit of year of return, and all these people who are coming in, even the amount of money they are spending in the economy, and I'll be getting to that, maybe it would have been interesting to just waive that visa fee charge so that at least there are some who may not necessarily come to spend that much, but just connecting with their relatives here in Ghana is a very critical thing. What do you say to that one? Because some are saying that it's a hell. I've had relatives who are holding other passports and they want to come to Ghana, and it's a hell even getting a visa to come to Ghana.
All right, so I think there are two things that you're talking about. First is the fee, and first is the processes. So it's the processes that we have eased off with the visa on arrival. So now you don't have to go through that process from the 1st of December to January 2024. You don't have to go through that process. You pick your passport and you come. So that process has been smoothened, eased up for people wanting to come. The second one is with the fee. You know, whatever platform is created, I mean, whether it's an e-visa platform, visa on arrival platform, it costs money to do. And given that we are a country where we don't have an infinite pot of resources, I think the system has to pay for itself. I mean, so when you talk about visa processes, I mean, there are people who work, there are people who, there's a platform that you have to pay. I mean, the data has to be stored somewhere, whether it's in the cloud space or you are even doing a physical manual storage of data. It costs money. And so I think the fees, like we've been told, I mean, it's much, it's not too much. I mean, about $75 or so. I think it's okay for me that people pay because the system has to pay for itself. Other than that, it becomes a system that eventually we have to now go back to the consolidated fund to look for money to pay. So I think a visa fee, for most countries that have visa on arrival, you pay a visa fee. There's a processing fee, there's an administrative fee, and the infrastructure also costs some money. And so I think, for me, the fee is not so much of an issue. It's a process that people complain about, and that is what we have addressed.
But Mr. Jim, some will say that away from year of return or this December rush that some may put it, we are also competing against several countries in the other space. And gradually, these countries are waiving visa requirement. South Africa has done that. Kenya is trying to be corrected. Rwanda. Several of these countries are taking that charge or that requirement to get into their country. Some are saying that Ghana, being the icon of Africa, the Horn of Africa, quote, you know, the leader, the Black Star of Africa, it has taken us too long. And I'm saying this because about what is the level of engagement with your sector minister, the Interior, Foreign Affairs, and put in pressure that, listen, we are competing against all these other countries, FDI, tourist visit. It's been too late in waiving visa for Ghana, for these guys to come in.
I think we will get there. I mean,
when some will say when.
I mean, for example, a lot of these things are reciprocal agreements that are reached. So, for example, South Africa has done it. They've done it for Ghana. We have done it for them.
Rwanda has done it.
So
Kenya has done
whoever
that.
Does
that
it
is
for
reciprocal. That is open to all Africans.
It's open to all Africans. I mean, but like I've said, I mean, I agree. I mean, that we must get to a point where everybody can come to Ghana, free, come in, whatever it is. But at this point that we are, I think what we say, Rome was not built in a day, baby steps. I'm happy.
But some will say that, I mean, I asked this question in the space of where Ghana stands on the continent.
So I think...
And the fact that these other countries have seen that. I was traveling with a country within Africa for a conference. My entry delayed like a week into that conference because I was struggling to get a visa to that country in Africa. And that is the challenge people face.
I think for us, that is the end game. We need to push it. And I'm with you on that, that we should get a point where people will come in without visas. People will come in with that. So I'm in the same line of thinking.
The same space with your sector minister, the foreign affairs, immigration,
I'm the same
interior.
line of thinking. But
even government as a whole.
We don't control that process. The process itself has taken some time because there are so many. I mean, for example, if you go to a consulate in London or whatever it is, the staff there are foreign affairs staff. But we know that visas are issued by immigration. So there has to be some recalibration and realignment of the process, and that's what has caused some of the delays. I mean, I believe strongly that by the first quarter of next year, based on what we have been told by Foreign Affairs, we should have and get to a point where we have an e-visa platform. Then that straightens the process for a lot of people. Because if you are in California, you want to come to Ghana, you either mail your passport to New York or to Washington. We want to get rid of that, where people can just pick their passport, get onto the flight, and come to Ghana. Now we have that at least for the period of December and January. We want to use that as a test case, see what some of the concerns that the other security agencies had, whether that's going to be tested. So we see this as a pilot. We've done it before last year, but it came in very late. And so it didn't have the sort of impact that we wanted. This year, at least we have from 1st December to the middle of January for people to come. And I know that given that we have licensed and endorsed over 100 and almost 200 events, I think we will see the numbers based on the fact that the requirements are no longer there. It's not a stumbling block. And we will want to work with other ministries to get to that point where you talk about, like Rwanda has done, like Senegal is doing, where people just pick their passports and they come into the country. We will get there.
Help me with some education. You spoke about the e-visa, all of that things being equal, taking off from the first quarter, holding all those things constant. Help me out. So what is the difference here with respect to this e-visa and i.e. the free visa? Help me out.
Okay, so with an e-visa, what you do is you have a platform where you apply for the visa on the platform. You don't have to send your passport anywhere. You don't have to send anything. You just upload your data. The approval comes. And so it comes either as a barcode or some sticker or whatever it is. So once you have that, you just board the flight. Now, the current system that you have to send your passport for the visa to be put in. But with the e-visa approval, you get approval and then you can board the flight. Now, the airlines will not allow you to board any flight unless they are sure that when you come in, you'll be allowed entry. And that has been the challenge for a lot of people because, I mean, people don't like mailing their passport because they feel like it's out of their hands. But you can't travel. I mean, if you are in, let's say, New Orleans, you can't fly to Washington to go stay in a hotel, wait for another week or two to get a visa. So you are compelled to do that. It comes with further cost. So that's the difference between the two, where you don't have to send your passport physically. You apply online. The visa is approved. You just use whatever barcode or short code or whatever instrument is sent to you, and you board the flight and you come to Ghana. That is where we want to get to. Now,
and so you see all that thing being equal, the first quarter of next year, it likely could take off, right?
Yes, because the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been working on it. There have been several, I mean, at one point, it was even advertised for vendors and other things, but that's not a process that we control. What we want is that we want to get there as quickly as possible and make sure that things move and more people can come in.
What has been and back again to the visa on arrival thing, if you travel, the hassle you go through, and even with these airlines, how they are very prim and proper when it comes to these things. What is the level of communication from government, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to these airlines on this visa on arrival? Because if I don't have a Ghana visa and I'm having a different passport, no airline will fly me to Ghana.
So that communication, if you saw the latest letter that came out, came from the Ministry of Transport, because the airlines work to civil aviation, and civil aviation is under the Ministry of Transport. And so it's more like a collaborative process with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because they have oversight over the embassies and the consulates that we have, with the Ministry of Interior, because they control immigration. Immigration is in charge of visas. With the Ministry of Tourism, because we are a very, very critical stakeholder. We need the numbers. And once all those things happen, then the Ministry of Transport will send the communication. Now, we do follow-ups because sometimes our tour operators will tell us we are going through hustle. In cases where we've had reciprocal arrangements. Sometimes some of the airlines don't have the information in their system. It's good to issue these releases, but it has to be logged into their system, the global system.
And that's something. Has that been done?
That has been done.
The various government agencies done the communications to these airlines?
It's been done by the Ministry of Transport. We have done follow-ups, and we will continue to follow up because all the airlines are then expected to update their system, so that if somebody is in, and it's happened to me before. I mean, I remember when we had this COVID waiver that you can come to Ghana without a COVID test, like the card.
I knew British Airways was still in. I had a challenge.
And then they said no, you need. I said no. So I pulled out the press release that had been issued, a letter from the Ministry of Transport, but in their system it had not been. So they had to call somebody. So we will be on them to make sure that everybody updates their system, and at least we have between now and the 1st of December to do that. And so I think we'll continue that engagement. Yesterday we met with the Ghana Airports Company, the Civil Aviation Authority, all looking at ways that we can make sure that as the numbers come in, the experience at the airport is improved, the processes around people going through the carousels and everything is also improved. And the airlines board, we have a meeting with them to also make sure that they have updated all their systems to reflect what communique has been issued.
E-visa first quarter of next year.
All things being equal.
All things being equal. Some would say based on your communication with the government and all the rest, holding all these things constant. Again, from you, your engagement with government, I'll say that what time are we possibly looking at, not specific timelines, that possibly we will have this free visa based on your engagement with government as an authority? I mean, when are we likely? Next year possible? The other year?
I wouldn't be able to talk about that. I can talk about the e-visa because that's a process that we have started. I mean, we've done a lot of analysis, memos, justifications for a free visa. I mean, every now and then, whenever a country announces people can come, we'll go. And I have all the data, how much people pay to go to Rwanda, to Mozambique. We'll do the analysis, which countries have free visas. So we've done all that. We've sent it through our ministry. Several cabinet memos have been sent. But we take it one step at a time. For me, the critical point now is the e-visa. Because once we clear that, it opens up. I mean, a lot of the people wanting to come to Ghana, only a few have complained about the cost of the visa, because they know you have to pay.
You think it's not an issue right now?
Well, the issue is with the process, and once we cure that process, then we can go to the next level. So I wouldn't be able to put a timeline and say.
Could it be soon? Could it happen?
I wish it was soon, and I'm an advocate for that. That we get these things, all these things moving up, because you want people to come to your country, make it easy for them to come. Once they come, they spend. The data is there to show. They stay in hotels, they go to restaurants, they go to chop bars, they buy from the art market. So they come in and the economic benefit is there. Why don't we make it easier for them? Why don't we make it easier because we are competing. I mean, if you look at Ghana, Senegal, Rwanda, to a large extent South Africa, these are places where a lot of the diaspora, African diaspora that we are targeting, go to. And it's easier for them. For example, if you're a US citizen, you don't need a visa to go to Senegal. So if somebody's sitting here and there's a concert in Senegal next week, they can come. If there's a concert in Ghana next week, chances are that the process will not be ready for them to come. So they will choose Senegal over us. And so we've been showing the data, we've been sending the necessary data to the agencies that we work with, that look, let's move on this. I mean, our first ask was a visa on arrival for this period.
And
we've gotten it. The next one was on e-visa, and we've been assured that, I mean, the processes are ongoing, hopefully first quarter next year. From there, then we can start, okay, why not make it free? You know, if you don't go there and you try to jumble everything together, sometimes the process gets a bit too convoluted for all of us.
And from your engagement, is it the fear that maybe government is going to lose some critical revenue, and that's why maybe it's dragging the process? Some would say that might be then more of a logistical challenge, because you look at the revenue that is coming in at this time, it'll be difficult to justify for this free visa.
I don't think it's too difficult to justify it, because if you're getting 1 million people and then they are spending less on an average 2,900, 2,900, 2,800, or 3,000. And you can get 2 million people coming in to spend the same amount of money. Eventually, the country will benefit. But that is data that we need to really sit down and interrogate and see, okay, where are the spends going? Who are the people spending to? At the art market? Are the arts people also paying taxes? So that government revenue doesn't, because the data shows, I mean, ISA, Statistical Service has done some research, we have done research.
They talked about $2,700 on the average, and that is the average. I'll come back to you, what do you have at your end there. But also, sorry to cut in, so for you, as we move on, what is the projected number that you're expecting for them to come to Ghana from whatever you've gone from your tourists, your partners?
This year we are doing, we are targeting 1.2 million.
1.2 million in
yes.
December alone?
No, not December alone.
I'm just talking like for the beyond the year return.
No. So the beyond the return is a whole year.
But maybe let me restrict it to just from December to January.
We were looking at about 115,000 total. But we're also looking at not just those from the airport. We know you have land borders that people come through. So we've started some engagements in Togo, in Nigeria, in Benin, to see that we can also move numbers who are coming in by road. Because we have all these events happening there. They are interested. People want to come to Afrofuture, people want to come to Little Havana, people want to come to Dirty Rave, and all these events, the Samini concert and Stone Beam, that everybody is doing something. And so as we engage at the airport, let's not forget the land borders as well. So we're looking at within that period about 115, but for the whole year we're looking at about 1.2.
As PM Express Business Edition, as you look at Ghana's tourism sector, could it be the game changer? What is being done to support the sector? What is being done to ensure that it plays its rightful role? And has it got the required investment to ensure that it lives up to its expectation as the top earner for the economy? What about concerns about those who are playing in this industry? This is PM Express Business Edition. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to PM Express Business Edition as we talk tourism in Ghana today. And what can be done to place it at the top, or make it the game changer for the economy when all other sectors are struggling? It is believed that that could be the sector that could turn things around. Now we invest in the right capital in this space to get the best. Some will say with the little capital, is doing well. Maybe you can do more with investment in the space. And the Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Sajiman, is explaining some issues to us. And thank you so much for your time. And you were talking about expecting about 1 million and all the rest. I look at the number of persons who are coming in. And recently, I engaged the Deputy Minister of Transport. He talked about the fact that we have exceeded the arrivals, the pre-pandemic levels. Is that what you're also picking at your end?
I think we just have to be a bit cautiously optimistic. We are way very close to pre-pandemic. Because for me, pre-pandemic was 2019, where we did about close to 1.18, almost 2 million, 1.2 million. And so the target is that this year we need to do 1.2 million.
But what is the number now? Because then some will say that compared to 2019, we're doing that number. What numbers are we doing now, even before?
Oh, I think, you know, the numbers that we're doing, for example, for the first half of the year, we had about 570,000. The last quarter, we just ended, so we are close to about 800. So we're hoping that we have to catch up about 400 for the last quarter to make the 1.2. So I think we will get there. But for me, it's not just, we don't want it to be a yo-yo where we get 1 year, whatever. We want to move consistently up. And that's what the data is showing us. For example, from 1.18 in 2019, we dropped to 350 in 2020 because of COVID. So the numbers were really the first quarter. Because since that time, the airport was closed, the borders were locked. And then we jumped back to 600,000 in 2021. Last year we did 900, and we are pushing to 1.2. I mean, but all these numbers are also a factor of access. People have to have access to come to the country. either the visa has to be smoothed, make it easier, which we are doing. You need more airlines. I mean, if you don't have somebody wants to come to Ghana, sorry, and the airlines are full, it's full. They can't come. And so we're working with all these operators. For some of them, we are engaging that they should bring their bigger aircrafts. Some of them, we've asked for them to do more flights. And so I'm happy that, for example, British Airways is now doing Gatwick and London. At some point, they wanted to even add Luton to it. So there has been some engagements.
So are there plans to add Luton to it?
There were some operators, not from British Airways. Okay. Some operators who were looking at that market. So if we can get more access, if we can bring back some of the airlines, I mean, I'm happy that almost all the airlines, with the exception of TAG, almost all of them have come back. Because pre-COVID, they were here. After COVID, some of them didn't. But now they are all here. Apart from, for example, the Accra-Washington route that we've lost when South Africa Airways left, almost all the routes are back online. And so that gives us the encouragement that once the airlines are there, people will come. Once the visa process is easier, people will come. Once we make sure that, regulatory partners and industry players also understand that we are all in this together. So pricing of hotels, pricing of car rentals, pricing of food and everything has to be at a level where it makes the country not too expensive. And so we've been working at it. We are very encouraged with the numbers that we have seen, not just in international arrivals, but also in domestic, because domestic is now neck to neck with international, and that for me is quite encouraging because we've seen more Ghanaians travel around. Last year we moved from about 500,000 to 900, and so this year our target is 1 million for domestic arrivals. And the numbers, I mean, once coming from our open, then the numbers started going up again. So I think we are getting to a point where we will get the domestic arrivals numbers and then international arrivals numbers also match, so that the economy and the economic benefits of tourism will get to everybody, whether you are a small choba owner, you are an airline operator, you are a hotelier, you are a restaurant owner, wherever you are in the space. Even, for example, if you take the arts, if you take December in GH, 178 events have been endorsed, more have come in, so we'll probably get to 200. Who are the people who are going to perform? The people, the sound engineers, the people who have the PA systems, they are all getting booked. Electrical equipment, event equipment are all getting bookings. And then the artists themselves. Now, some of them have 10 gigs within the period. And so we are creating an ecosystem where everybody will get a bit of the pie.
Well, whilst we celebrate the numbers that are coming in, there are some who also raise the question about Accra, Ghana, expensive destination, from the airline, the airport charges, to the transport, to the hotels and all the rest. And from your engagement with the players and government and all those things, what are you doing about it to deal with those problems? Some of them can be dealt with by waiving some levies or charges, which is within your space. There's a lot of complaint that coming to Accra, coming to Ghana is expensive, from the airline to airport charges, to the hotels, to transportation, to eatery, restaurants and everything. That is something where we are struggling to deal with compared to our peers who are also competing for these numbers.
Yeah, I will say it's a concern. We have had several engagements. The Tourism Act encouraged us to set up a public-private partnership forum. And so we've done that, and we've engaged with the private sector players. We've had a series of engagements. Even before this budget was read, we sent our position paper based on engagements with the private sector to look at how we can look at some of the fee structures and the charges and the levies and everything. And so that is work in progress. I'm very confident that by mid-year budget, I think probably some of the things that we are asking for will come in. But beyond that, we also know that...
Some of the things that you were asking for some?
I mean, most of them have asked for example, if we could have a flat rate regime for the sector. That is something that will work for them. I mean, if you have a small hotel and you have to, some of them you don't have the manpower and the capacity to do this input output analysis and all that, so they are advocating a flat rate, and I agree with them. So we've made that proposal. There are some that are looking at how some of the fees that different agencies charge can be harmonized and consolidated. So that's the discussion we are having with the Ministry of Finance. I mean, it's not just us. We, for example, if you take a budget hotel, we charge 150 cedis a year. So that cannot lead to the cost of a budget hotel going up. 150 cedis a year, that's what we charge as our license fee. But we are minded that we are not the only regulator. So the local assemblies will charge EPA, FDA, and all that. And so as an aggregate, maybe it might not be too much, but even it becomes worrying for a business when every time you have a new regulator coming up to them, data protection and all that. And so we've sent proposals to the Ministry of Finance. We've engaged with the Tourism, Trade and Industry Subcommittee of Parliament. It's headed by Honorable Carlos Ahinkra. The last meeting he was there, he sat in with them, encouraged them to put all their proposals together. And so we'll go to Parliament also and see what can be done. We're looking at the utilities and all that.
That's been the big challenge for the hoteliers.
Yes,
and
complaining. So, yeah, that's we've engaged, and I believe that we've been asked to present a case to Parliament, and that's what we are working on now with some of our partners and consultants to make sure that we go with the data, because for example, some of the hotels and guest houses are in residential areas, and where they have been put on the band that they are in is making sure that their fees are high. We've complained to PURC. They've admitted that when the increases were done, I don't think the data was available for them to really drill down to who is operating there. So if it's there, it's there. So we are looking at that. Property rate has also come up, where currently some of the fees have gone up. We've engaged with the Ministry of Local Government on the GRA on how we can look at some of these facilities and see how we can make sure that we ease the burden on them. I mean, I believe that given the fact that we've come with clean hands and open hands, engaged with these operators, they understand where we are coming from. They understand that it's a process, and I believe that we'll get to that process, the end of that process very soon.
So all of that things being equal from the middle of next year.
I think that's where we are targeting, because our policy, I mean, and the heads of the various associations were with us when we had a conversation, and I think this was about 2-3 weeks to the budget being read. And so we all went in knowing that what we are asking for may take some time, but at least the position paper has been submitted, but we know that it has to go to cabinet, cabinet has to approve, and so our target is mid-year budget, because by the time we submitted all these data and information, it was near impossible to make it in the budget. But at least the Minister of Finance has acknowledged the fact that the industry is one that is dear to the heart of government. We've been working with the ministry on this ways to stimulate the market through some activities, the December GH, the night market and all that. So I think we will get there.
And so if I get from you also a bit of clarity that in terms of the arrivals, we are now close to hitting the pre-pandemic levels, right?
Yeah.
Again, come back to another critical thing. As if you look at the data privy to you as well, in terms of the industry as well, have we also picked up strongly in terms of revenue, in terms of domestic travels and all those things?
Yeah, we have. I mean, if you look at even the data, I mean, year on year, the number of licensed facilities are also growing, especially in the space of restaurants, lounges and things. So if you go to Accra, for example, you just take a ride to Laboni, Cantonments, East Legon, and you can see the sheer amount of activity, new restaurants coming up and new activities coming up, which is good for the industry. And so we've seen growth, I mean, in terms of actual numbers of facilities. I always talk about what I met, about 3,000 something licensed accommodation facilities. This year we're doing about 5,200. So that should tell you the new additions. People are coming into the industry. As the market has opened up, as people have seen more people come up, guest houses are springing up, new hotels are coming up, and that for me is good enough. But we want to get to a point where it's not just Accra, we are extending the whole thing to the whole country. This year we've seen more events and activities coming from the Western region, Ashanti region, Central, and the rest. We want to be that consistent. We want to sustain it, and so it's a never-ending process for us. That every time we need to look at what is affecting our players and how can we make it easier for them to do business and stay on in business and improve and improve and improve. For me, that is where we want to get to, where the numbers will come in, the whole ecosystem will benefit, and then we make improvements to it. More numbers will come ecosystem. So it's a cycle.
The Institute of Statistical Social and Economic Research, ISA, in their report talked about some average spend of $2,700, and that was for last year as well. I don't know whether there's been any update in terms of the average spend that these tourists are spending when they come to the country.
We are picking up around $2,900.
Almost $3,000.
Yeah, and
what are they spending on? I mean, I stand to be educated. I mean,
I think a bulk of it is accommodation, and then also accommodation is one, and I believe food, restaurants and other things, and a few others follow. But we want to get to a point where people spend more. And how do we do that? Make sure that there are enough activities for them to stay. There are people who are flying in the past saying, I'm coming to Afrochella. But then they come now and realize that, okay, instead of coming just for Afrochella, maybe 2 days, 3 days, I probably can come earlier, be part of the taste of Ghana. There's Dirty Rave somewhere, maybe extend my stay and catch another event. So we want the number of days to be extended. Once you get a number of days extended, give or take, the spend will also go up. And so that for us is where we are looking at targeting, where we can get people to stay for more days. And then beyond that, how do we extend that to the small businesses? The watches seller, the kinky seller, people who are doing very basic stuff, but it's also impactful.
Standardization has been a big concern for a lot of people, and I stand to be educated, where sometimes people even have time to question the star ratings of our hotels and even the hospitality space as well. How is your authority pushing up to ensure that at least when it comes to the basic standards, these players in the space, they have it? Because it's a big concern for those who are coming in, spending an average of $3,000. Sometimes the cost doesn't match up to what they are rendering to you from the eatery
George,
to the
I think we
hotels.
have a very stringent standardization regime.
And it's been enforced.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, if I tell you the number of hotels that are 3-star, 4-star, who have applied to be 5-star and we have refused, you'll be surprised. A lot of them. Everybody wants their star rating to go up. Hotels who are 2-star wanting to be 3-star. But we have a very strict standardization regime where we know when it comes to hotels, there are 2 levels. There's the infrastructure and there's the service. So somebody says, so I've built a hotel, I have a gym, I have a pool, I have this, I have that, I have that, I have that. So I have to be 5-star. We say no. We'll start you off somewhere because we need to do a service assessment. So we have teams that go around, we do mystery shopping. So we have, if there's people who come and stay in a hotel for maybe a period of 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and see the service. I mean, do they offer, for example, room service? Do they have a 24-hour room service? If you don't have that, you would have built the infrastructure. So these people are complaining that, look at the amount of money I've invested. Why can't I be a 5-star? Why are you giving me a 3-star? We say, look at the service. So we have been working with the industry, educating them that it's not just the brick and mortar. We look at the service. But I can tell you, I mean, in Accra, we have 4 5-star hotels. Kempinski, Marriott, Movenpick, and Labadi. Anybody should tell me whether these are not 5-star hotels.
But
everywhere in the world.
Not to attack or mention names, but
everywhere.
People have had the cause to complain about some of the services that these so-called 5-star hotels are rendering to their clients.
All right, so I think
the quality of infrastructure, the service that they are rendering.
So I think you are in the same you're on the same page with me. So I looked at the infrastructure, I looked at all the things that they have done, and then the service assessment that we have done, and they qualify. They are 5-star. Mind you, a hotel like La Palm used to be a 5-star hotel. We downgraded it. We downgraded it to 3-star. When we went in there, the service didn't meet. I mean, this was way back. And so they've... So
I get from you that you're taking the actions as long as a facility doesn't meet the standards, you move in quickly to do that.
That's why we said once complaints come, we go in there. If complaints don't come, every year we do a service assessment. I mean, it might be sometimes... in the past, we used to inform them we are coming to do service assessment, and then people will clean up everywhere. So now we're doing more mystery service assessment. We'll get other people to go and stay there. We pay for the hotels for them to stay there, and then they send their reports to us, which then becomes more of an informed thing. And then we work with our quality assurance team then to go in and try and ask them to remedy the situation. But for us, the more 5-star hotels we have, the better. The more upmarket hotels, because a lot of people travel, business travelers and other things, will not stay. Somebody will tell you, I wouldn't stay in a country that doesn't have a 5-star hotel. So they are looking at that sort of facilities. So we need to encourage the investors to get to the 5-star. So we are working with them. They have people who have desperate to get to that 5-star, and we've had teams, I mean, from our service and quality assurance department go there, meet with them and say, look, add this. I mean, you have a hotel, you don't have a gym, we can't give you 5-star. You have a hotel, you have this thing, okay, add this service. So we can...
Does the same strict standardization also apply to the eateries, the restaurant, the other budget facility? Because maybe it appears that you are just concentrating on the upper market. But again,
we do.
The mass people that come in, the restaurants, some of their kitchens, terrible. But they still piss their plate there, Ghana Tourism Authority approved. Does this strict standardization and inspection apply to these other facilities?
I think it does apply, but I must concede that in some of the situations, the sheer numbers sometimes also impact.
Someone say don't license them in the first place. If you struggle to
no, but the point is that the law says we should license them. But let's take, for example, Accra, Greater Accra region. You go to Kaswa, you go to Weja, you go to Botiano. Look, it stretches. So what we have done, how do we do that? I'm not talking about just the difficulties, but we are curing that. So in Accra, for example, we split it up into zones. So we have the Tema area, then we have the Central Greater Accra, and then we have the Accra West. So what we are doing is to now make sure that we have enough people going out there to the facilities. And you know, sometimes you have to employ more people, sometimes you have to deal with so many other things within the space, making sure that people can visit these places and see. So it's also a logistical challenge sometimes that we have, because you need numbers, you need vehicles, you need so many things to go around. And so I must concede that when it comes to the lower tier, sometimes it's not as strict as one would have wanted it to be. But we've engaged with the ministry. I mean, we've asked for clearance to get in more people, train them, make sure that, I mean, next week, for example, we are training about 85 of our inspectors on new techniques. These things are also moving at a fast rate with AI and other technologies that have come in. You don't, I mean, some hotels, you go in globally now, you have self-check-in desk and all those things. This is coming to the region, and so we need to be ready. And so we will get there. We will get there.
Is it a concern for you as well? I remember once I worked with an accounting firm, and we're helping one of our clients to put together a program in Ghana. We were struggling to get hotel rooms for participants that were coming to the conference. One event and the whole hotels in Accra are full.
Yeah. Very big concern.
In terms of facility, incentivize people to go into makeshift camps, makeshift facilities.
Yeah, so when you have to incentivize the people to come.
And are you doing that?
We are
doing that. People to invest in that space?
Yes. So, I mean, I think recently you heard in Parliament that I think a parliamentarian was questioning why hotels should be given incentives. In 2005, I remember President Kufuor gave us a Ghana Hospitality Investment Act that was used to drive a lot of these investments coming in. If you go to Movenpick, the land there is government land. That was government's equity to the project. Same thing with Kempinski. So you need to grant them some access through. We are doing that. We have engaged a lot of investors. We have seen a lot of local investors, people who have, if you go to like the peninsulas, the rock cities and all those things, we are engaging with them to see, okay, how do we make it easier for you? Sometimes it's not easy for them. I mean, there are places where to even connect the electricity to the place, they have to buy poles and other things. So we've come in to assist when we can. But I think as a general rule, we've been working very closely with GIPC to make sure that some of these things are in place because we need more rooms. I mean, December and GH, now almost all the upmarket hotels are full. And so, I mean, we had a conversation with Airbnb. We are trying to regulate that space as well. And they showed data for us to see that Accra, sometimes in December, 8,000 rooms gone. But where we need more rooms. So we can get more of these facilities through some incentive schemes and regimes. And so when people in Parliament start questioning, okay, why are they giving tax holidays to hotels and other things, then there's a disconnect.
This is PM Express Business Edition as we talk about Ghana's tourism sector. Can it be the game changer in terms of turning around this economy? We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to PM Express Business Edition as we talk about Ghana's tourism sector. Could it be the game changer for Ghana's economy? We're talking to the Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Mr. Kwesi Achiman. I hope I got the name right.
Yeah, that's it.
There's no nickname.
Don't go there. I know where you want to go. But don't go there.
Again, back to standardization and Airbnb. What is the position of the authority on it going forward?
I mean, I think it's I wouldn't say it's a catch-22 situation. We need more rooms. We need more facilities, no doubt. But we can't have a situation where these facilities are not properly regulated and licensed. It's a global phenomenon. We know how many people are using Airbnbs as they've traveled around the world. And so we started engagements with them. I mean, that look, we have laws in every country that you operate. So let's work with you to see that the people who are putting their facilities on your platforms have a license to operate. So they've engaged with us. We've had series of conversations, concerns that they've raised. I mean, for example, if somebody has a home, he's not a business owner, he has one room, he wants to make that one room available for people who want to stay. What are the laws there? What can we do? So we've been working with them. This week we even had a workshop on the regulations that we have. They've put on their platform that's responsible, what they call responsible hosting. That before you come to them, come to the tourism authority. And so we've seen more people come to us that we want a license to operate. But we have given them that window that by the first quarter of next year, everybody on Airbnb should have a license to operate.
From the authority.
From the authority. But we want to do that with the understanding that it's not going to be the same sort of regulations for hotels and other things. So that's what we are working on to clean up. I think we will get there.
Mr. Jiman, there's this concern that government, together with the authority, you are doing everything to give this picture that, or support, or maybe Ghana is just being prepared for the diasporans and the returnees. That's why December in Ghana year of return. And it will lead back to my question, the domestic tourism. We don't need to have a December in Ghana for things to be put right. Therefore, let's build a system that at every point in time, every Ghanaian benefits, everybody can walk in at any point in time, any time of the year. The concern here is that government and authority is just interested in beautifying the city for the returnees, for the diasporans to come and celebrate in that period, and the picture is that everything is well.
You know, George, I think people need to understand tourism and how it operates. And we have market segments. There are countries that have designed themselves as safari markets. So they put in the animals, they put in the parks. There are countries that have designed themselves like what they call the winter sun. I mean, when there's winter, come to my country because I have sun. So if you go to Barbados and other places, I mean, you see the sheer number of people coming in during winter in the US because of the proximity, but the fact that a lot of people, especially old people, are running away from winter. You have, for us, what are the things that we have? We have the forts and castles and other things that has a historical connection with the African diaspora. So immediately you see that the African diaspora should be your segment. It should be a market that you target. So we targeted them with Pan Affairs, with the Joseph Project over the years, with Emancipation and all that. And they come. So it's not just December. You look at every year we have Emancipation. You have numbers coming in. Every 2 years you have Pan Affairs. You have numbers coming in. Then we also realized that, okay, what other market segments can we target? And we looked at the young Gen Zs and the young market. What do they want? They want to go to a place, have fun, interact. We said, okay, let's build on what we already had. Because we saw that in that space, you had people like Aquaba UK and Co. were already bringing people to Ghana in December. So we said, okay, let's create that brand. Let's create that perception and let's create that product of Ghana being a leisure destination where people can come and have fun. So December is not just, we're not just doing December. I mean, by Easter, you see what we'll be doing with Kwahu, paragliding. We have about 75% of people who come to fly paragliding they're not Ghanaian, they also come in it. So we do that adventure for paragliding. We have the parks, Kakum, Mole and other things. So we target different markets. So for those who understand tourism and those who know what we are doing, I mean, countries have come, Rwanda, South Africa, they've all come. Hey, how did you guys do it? Because everybody wants to be associated with something. Everybody wants something that clicks. So if we can make Ghana click in the minds of people, that is a place that you can go and enjoy yourselves. It's a place that you can go and have fun. It's a place that you can go and network. It's a place that you can go for leisure. What is wrong with that?
Let's come to domestic tourism as we try and wrap up on this discussion. What are the numbers giving you in terms of domestic tourism?
Amazing numbers. I mean, we are doing very well with domestic tourism. It's just that it should be a given.
What are the numbers in terms of
I'll give you the number, but I'm just saying it's just that it should be a given. So always when we talk about domestic tourism, it's like subdued because for me, we should all be traveling around. We all need to move around, and we do. But it's not in a sense of where we had the data. For example, if somebody is moving from here to a hotel in Akosombo to spend the weekend, we will not be able to track that sort of data as easily as you would do when somebody comes to the airport and their passport is stamped. And so we are working with the statistical service to make sure that that process is eased where we can gather the data. The data that we use is visitations to tourist sites and attractions. But it doesn't mean that that's the only way people, so if somebody goes to somebody's wedding, you wouldn't capture that in your data. But with the visits to tourist sites and attractions, I mean, 2020, we did about 560,000. No, sorry, 2019. 2020, it dropped. I mean, negligible, about 200 or so thousand. By 2022, we'd come back to about 500 and something thousand. Last year, so 2021, last year we did 917,000. If you take a place like a Bri Botanical Gardens, all of a sudden it's the number one. Who are the people going there? Or us. Kakum is in the picture, about 100 and something thousand. We have places that have come up like the Royal Cozy in the Upper West, Jirapa, and all those places are coming up. So domestic tourism is doing very, very well. Few issues there. We have also seen a trend where people go, they don't stay in hotels. People do like return journeys and other things. So we are trying to see how we can work with the industry, our operators, to build packages. So that, I mean, yesterday, for example, we were in a meeting with the airport company to see how, for example, the whole airport can be seen as a tourist airport. We do a package with the tour operators. You go for a weekend, you fly in there, maybe you stay in either the Sky or Serene, you go to Vley, you go to whatever. So it needs some stimulation. That's what.
But Mr. Jiman, I mean, since a kid, and I stand to be educated, infrastructure leading to these tourist sites, roads, some are saying terrible conditions. And I don't know the situation now, but there's always been a concern about the roads that are leading to this. These are the standard facilities that we've celebrated over the years. They are not in a good condition. What are we doing about it? It's been, we complain, we talk about it. Kakum Park is a typical example.
George, I don't know when the last time you went to Kakum Park.
I've not been there. I'm saying that it's been a challenge in the past.
So
but what's the situation now in terms of the roads leading to this place?
The road to Kakum Park is...
The other places, infrastructure leading to those places?
So I'm just saying that some of them have been done. I mean, I remember when I came in here, Kakum Park was the #1 complaint that operators were talking about. We met with the Ministry of Tourism Roads through our minister then. We had engagements. They said they will fix Kakum. Kakum has been fixed. There are so many other areas that the roads have been fixed. I mean, I remember people were complaining about Bonre and all those places. So some of them have been fixed. But we don't live in an island. We live in a country where everybody's complaining about roads. And so
it's a priority.
What we have done in engagement with our minister and the Minister of Roads is what we call the tourism roads. So they've given us assurance that every year they will fix 50 kilometers of tourism roads. And so this year, for example, we have prioritized the road to Boti Waterfalls. That's also a very bad road now. We're looking at Japa, the road from Wa to Japa as another road. We have forgotten the roads, but I think there are some that we are prioritizing. So what we are doing is that we'll go to the ministry. These are our priority roads. Fix them for us. And then it's going to be done. Sometimes we get lucky. Maybe they are doing the roads because it's a cocoa road and then there's a tourist site around it. But by and large, from where the people are visiting mostly now, Kakum, Ebri, the Kwame Nkrumah Park, Bunsu, Kintampo, we don't have roads issues there. But there are some that I concede need to be worked on, and I think we are working on it.
As we wrap up, Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum rehabilitation. Help me out with the numbers and revenue. And also, are you surprised? And the lessons it tells for us that domestic tourism can peak if we just do the little things.
But that
so first the numbers with the mausoleum, because I've seen people troop there, and then the revenue, and then we look at the bigger picture as you wrap up.
Yeah, I think for me it's just a testament to what we can do with our tourism. And I want to thank our ministry because that project was done at the level of the Ministry of Tourism. There's a project coordinating unit, and it shows clearly that we can do. I mean, like was said, I mean, we used to have maybe in a year 90,000 people visit this park. Since it's been open, we have more than 1 million people visit the park. So that should tell you...
That's even a month or what?
Yeah, sorry?
A month or so far?
No, it's about since July. You know, so
people have been there.
So it should tell you that the numbers are there. I don't know whether it's 1 million people, but I think that's...
What about revenue as well?
I think the revenue is where I was talking about the million. That is the amount of revenue that it's.
But what were you doing previously? Some would say.
I think 35,000 and all that. So it's like day and night. It's not comparable. But we want to do more. And so currently, for example, we are doing work in Salaga, we are doing work in Tanobuasi, we are doing work in Ebri, we are doing work in Bonre, we're doing a Kente Museum there and all that. So I think it's work in progress. A lot has been done over the last few years in our tourism space. Our industry players know. We all see that there is some growth. I mean, the numbers don't lie. I mean, you're moving from 600, 700,000 to now we're talking 1.2 million. And the last time we had a presidential summit, the president says he wants 2 million in 2026. So we said, okay, let's go. What do we need to do? Let's ease up the visa process. Let's make sure that we have more rooms. Let's talk to the carriers so that they can bring more people. Let's engage with our neighbors, the regional tourism, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Togo. Let's bring them into the country. So we're doing all these things, and I'm very, very confident. And I'm confident in the fact that we have started something, and now more people are investing in the sector. We started something, more people are coming in. We need to continue, and for me, the sustainability of all this is what I'm concerned about.
And are you hopeful that it could be the game changer? Looking at what the sector has
not
done,
could be, already it is
for other economies around the world.
It is tourism. It is, and for us, we have been blessed. We have so many natural resources. I mean, others are building it. If you go to Saudi Arabia, they are building a new city called the Neom. The Neom tourism is like 260 kilometers that they are building, new roads, new facilities. Dubai is doing that. They are building wildlife parks. We cannot sit on our oars. We need to move. We need to be very, very aggressive. And I believe that with the sort kind of support we from the president, he's shown interest. The kind of support we are receiving from our industry players, people coming up with their ideas, and the kind of support we receive from even event organizers, people coming up with ideas. 100 and something events. We are organizing, I think, 1 or 2 with GIPC, Taste of Ghana. The rest are private sector people, young guys, young boys, putting money in the economy.
And as you wrap up in just a minute, I remember you said this before, and I just want some clarity from you, because in terms of people appreciating the work you do, that you said you are not a funding agency. So George Wiafe and Co shouldn't apply to you looking for money to organize events.
What we said, and just to clarify it, you're going to do your event. Plan the event as if the event is going to happen, with or without any support. If you come to us and we have the resources, we look at it and we have to sponsor or we have to buy tickets, we do that. You can ask all the event organizers. We go out of our way to say, okay, let's go and buy tickets so that the event is successful. But you can't build your whole event thinking that the tourism authority will have to fund it.
I know the debate will still go on in your homes, your offices, about whether we're doing enough to support this sector and whether it is or can be the game changer. This has been PM Express Business Edition, to look at the tourism sector and whether it can turn around Ghana's economy. My name is George Wiafe. Have a great day.